Joining us today is Mr. Mukesh Bhardwaj, a very experienced Canadian lawyer with over 30 years of practice in Ontario. He is the founder of Bhardwaj Law Professional Corporation, a popular law firm that helps people all across GTA. Mr. Mukesh and his team do a lot of different legal work. They help protect people who have court cases, assist families when they have to buy or sell a home, and guide people who want to move to Canada or sponsor their relatives. His team speaks many languages so they can help everyone in the community. Mr. Mukesh is also known for working very hard for his clients and knowing the law inside out. Today he is here to share his best tips and explain how the legal system works in simple ways. Please welcome to the podcast Mr. Mukesh Bhardwaj. Good afternoon, Mr. Bhardwaj. How are you, sir?
Good afternoon, Mr. Berri. I'm good. How are you?
Thank you for coming to my show. It's an honor to have you, sir.
Thank you for inviting me. I appreciate that you thought of me and you asked me to come and share my knowledge with you. Thank you again.
So, you are one of the most reputed lawyers in Toronto, and you have a long journey. You came from India with nothing
Correct.
but a law degree, and here today you have established yourself as one of the biggest law firms. अपनी journey के बारे में थोड़ा बताएं, sir.
Okay. Well, just like every other immigrant, my journey is not very different than others. Everybody goes through the struggle. My struggle was that I completed my law studies in India. I practiced law in India for a year. And around the same time, I lost my father. When I lost my father, there was a question that was discussed among my brothers and myself that whether we start our life in India, because it was a beginning of my legal career. My brother who lived in Canada, his, good advice to all brothers was that since we were starting our life in India, might as well start in Canada. So I think that made perfect sense. And being an older brother, he was more experienced, very knowledgeable. He's a chartered financial planner. So his advice was correct, and that made sense, and we all followed it. So I came to Canada in 1990, February 1990. Upon coming to Canada, the equivalency of law was a big question. Like at that time, you have to go back to a law school, complete the required hours. Once you complete the required hours, then you're given an equivalency certificate. Not the way it is today. In today's time, the Joint Committee on Accreditation will ask you to write certain challenge exams. You write those challenge exams at your own pace, and once you pass them, you're given an equivalency certificate. All right, so this was the difference between 1990 and now. So I finished my equivalency and then followed the mainstream, did my articling with a law firm called Jurianson Lee in North York. Once I completed articling, there was at that time used to be, it's called Bar Ed's course. It was a separate kind of a degree that you attend for 4 months, each and every morning till the late afternoon. Instructors will give you proper classes, and then at the end of the course, you will write an exam and you have to pass it. There were 8 or 9 exams. I personally think that was amazing. That brought me or other foreign lawyers like myself who immigrated to Canada at the same level as the Canadian lawyer, because we were exposed to everything. We went to the law school, and then we did the articling with a Canadian law firm, and then we completed the bar ads. So I think that gives us an edge over the students who come from India or any other foreign country now, and they just simply write the equivalency exams, and then they follow the enrollment process, which is called the articling, and then the barrister and solicitor exams. So this was in a nutshell, my journey. I mean, I when I completed it, I thought I was well equipped to represent my people, represent my client in a more effective and a professional, honorable way, and have my people respected the way I want to be respected in the Canadian market. So that was the idea in the back of my mind, which I implemented very much, and I still do it.
And at that time when you came, did you practice law in India, or you just finished your law and you came here and you practiced law in Canada for the first time?
No, I finished my law studies in 1989. After finishing law studies, I was called to the Delhi bar in 89 itself, and I practiced for 1 year. And that experience was the world of an experience, because in India, you run from one court to the other, and I was working for a very senior, very reputable lawyer who had about 6 or 7 cases on an average every single day. And he was a senior lawyer, so juniors were running, whatever instructions he gives, we run around in the court and we do it. At the end of the day, he will brief us for the next day matters. So in small words, like, that experience was worth about a 10 or 15 years experience for me. That's how I see it.
So, what is the main difference in Canadian and Indian law as a lawyer? Because you have studied there, worked there,
Correct.
practiced for some time, but because you belong there, you know how the system works.
Correct.
And you have spent most of your life here doing law.
Correct.
What do you think is the biggest difference between the two countries in the legal system?
In my experience, the biggest difference is the enforcement. We have the same law or similar laws up to a certain extent in Canada and in India and most of the Commonwealth countries. If you look at the history of any area of law, for example, contract law. Now, contract law was enacted by Britishers. That contract law was implemented in all of the countries that they ruled as colonies. Now, that contract law, even till today, is fundamentally the same, but small changes are made to it for enforcement purposes, right? So when you study contract law in India or any other Commonwealth country, you're pretty much reading reading and studying the same elements of contract, which makes it a binding
But
contract.
enforcement is different.
But enforcement is different. In India, for example, I shouldn't be naming India, but in any other third world country, countries, the enforcement can be different. For example, a contract orally done versus a contract reduced to writing. The contract has certain legal requirements in Canada. Those requirements might not be there. For example, witnessing of a contract. Right? Contract is under two parties reach an understanding, and that understanding is reduced to writing. It becomes a written contract. So contract can have a definite purpose. Contract can have considerations in it. Contract can have the duties of each individual involved. Right? Sanity of mind, understanding, was it explained properly or not? I'm just giving you an example. These elements existed in the ancient contract law that came from United Kingdom.
Okay. Talking of India, as you all know what is happening in Delhi these days, there is a huge protest going on for the leaked exams, and we see students are being brutally beaten by the police because they are protesting, and whatever political agendas people have, and they are joining the same protest.
Right.
If the same thing happened in Canada,
Correct.
do you think the police has the power to charge the mob?
I think police will have all the power to charge the mob if the mob goes.
Are they allowed to hit here?
Sure, they
To
can.
control
It's called enforcement.
It's allowed.
It will be allowed if you are, for example, and because I watched the news, so that's why I'm saying it. The whole thing erupted because these students, right or wrong, whatever the reasons were, they wanted to go to Parliament. You can't walk into a Parliament just like that. There are security reasons. The Parliament sessions were on. How can you just simply say it's democracy? You walk into Parliament with a hidden knife or something in your hand, and you cause other collateral damages.
So that's taken as an act of danger,
Correct.
and hence the police can intervene
That is correct.
where or there.
That is
They have the right to stop them
You got it.
to
You
enter
got it.
the premises of the parliament.
That's exactly right. So that's within their right. But if they're asked to stop there, they were given permission to do the demonstration. Why was the permission given? Because it was within the legal limits.
Yeah,
But when those legal limits were crossed, the enforcement agencies are within their right to do the remedial action.
because demonstrations are, we see a lot of different people from different backgrounds and religions doing protests here in Canada,
Sure.
and we see police supporting them. They are given proper protection. The police cars are there while they are marching, moving, or sitting.
That's it. That's correct. You understood it correctly. Now differentiate with what happened in India.
Correct.
You can see the pictures and videos. I have seen it at least. A woman holding police officer's collar. So you are crossing the boundaries of law. So you expect police to just simply say, sorry, please don't touch me? Right? There has to be enforcement.
Retaliation.
It's not retaliation.
Right.
You're just pushing them back to their limits. If you have to beat them up or arrest them or do whatever you have to do, excessive force is applied when their action becomes danger to your own safety. The officer is within his right to even, push you back, harm you unintentionally. That's definitely within the legal limits.
When we talk about Indians, South Indians, South Asians, people from other communities, which is, they have moved in huge quantities, immigrated to Canada.
Yeah.
And most of them are in their late 20s, early 30s, or 40s.
Correct.
What I want to ask you is, they grow up in a certain culture.
Correct.
They grow, and every culture has their own ways of greeting, meeting, talking, socializing, dressing up, food habits. When they come to a country like Canada, which is so cosmopolitan, which is the melting point of all the cultures in the world, but Canada has its own laws, rules, and policies of dealing, for say workplaces, for sports,
Yeah.
for everything.
Yes.
When they come here with a certain set of cultures and habits,
Correct.
how do they adopt to this change? Because I have a question for you here, and maybe because I'm not framing it correctly. Somebody has a habit of hugging and touching and greeting somebody,
Correct.
and tapping at the back,
Correct.
and maybe using certain words which are not swearing in their culture, but they may be an abuse here,
Correct.
and they can get in trouble because if somebody will misinterpret them, they can get sued for that.
Correct.
Is that correct?
That is definitely correct. And I thank you for asking me such an intelligent question. I've been carrying the same thoughts in my mind, I would say at least about 30 years. It's called cultural integration. Now, Canada has a policy, has been a policy, which is called selection criteria for immigrants. That's the policy. Now, if you fall into that selection criteria, your application gets processed, you're accepted, and you come to Canada and you become an immigrant. Now, think about it. An adult is always accepted as the principal applicant, never been a child, right? So the child comes along as a dependent. So the adult who is, I would take an average age of 24, 25. I came at the age of 24, and I think a lot of them, majority of them are similar age. You complete your studies and then you look for, immigrating to a different country for better future, whatever else in your mind, right? Financial
Correct.
benefits or health benefits or the quality of life is better, whatever, however you interpret. Now, when you have an adult who comes here at the age of 24, his upbringing is embedded in him. He cannot just change it at the press of a button. You cross the borders and you become a different person. That's not possible. Humanly possible, at least. You try your best. For example, I came and you must have come sometime.
Correct.
When we come here, we try to understand the culture as fast as we can. But again, understanding and integrating slowly takes time. So immigrants often find themselves in legal problems because of lack of knowledge, I would say, at that time. I'll give you a very good example that came in my mind just now. In 1997 or 8, I think somewhere there, I started practice in 96. So 97 or 98, when I was just starting at the time, I had a client. He was from Pakistan, and I'll name it. I won't name the client, but I'll name the area and the country. And his background was, it's called Pashto. I think Peshawar is the place where these Pashto background individuals come. Now, they have a habit, which is just a general habit, of talking loud. Like, you're sitting across me, I'll be, screaming out of my lungs and heart and to the maximum pitch, and that's how they communicate, no matter how close and how far they are. Now, these husband, wife, and a small child was about 4 years old or something. They were renting a place in an apartment somewhere, Jane and Finch or somewhere. Now, when they talk in the evening, when the husband comes back from work, the husband wife talk. The neighbors always thought that they were fighting.
But they were just talking.
They were just talking. I'm just giving you an extreme example how you run into a problem because of cultural disintegration. You need time to integrate, but you're not integrated yet. You just arrived in Canada, you're struggling to, make a living and be productive to the society. So this individual, every second day they will be screaming. Whenever they have extra time, they will be talking to each. It's a conversation regular for them, but it's a fight for the next door neighbor who is listening to it from the other side of the wall. So neighbor, third day or second day, he called the police that there was a fight in the my adjacent unit. I see somebody asking for help. Police arrived. At the time when they arrived, the little child was crying because he was having his own tantrums. It was a very young infant child. Now, and he was not, it was a summertime. I remember clearly, it was July or August sometime, and he was just wearing his underwears or something, and he was running around the house. As the police came in, the child was crying, and they asked what happened. The father said, I'm just asking him to go to sleep. It's too late. And he was, running up and down the stairs, and it's not good for him. So I'm just asking him to go to sleep. They looked at the child. Child can't say much. He turned around. There was a big bruise on the shoulder blade of the child. It was a blue mark. Let me correct myself. It was not a bruise. It was a blue mark. Now, the officer right away observed a blue mark on the shoulder blade of this child. And he said, what happened here? They couldn't explain in English what happened. And the officer said, no. Child care has to be informed right now so the child can be protected. Children's aid was called. Children's aid came. They took the child away. The child was taken to a pediatrician. Pediatrician said, looks like it's a bruise mark. Right? Some injury, some sort of, something has happened. When they were charged assaulting the child, when they were charged, they were looking for a lawyer, and that's how they ended up with me. And I asked them nicely, politely, and I tried to understand and get the maximum facts. They said this was at the time when the child was born, he was in breech condition in mother's womb. It's a birthmark. And birthmark can be of a blackish color or bluish color and even red, and it can stay the same color. Now, because of lack of ability to explain properly, they ran themselves into criminal problem. The children's aid is involved. The child is taken away from them because it's a safety issue. Right? They brought a culture of talking loud. They did not integrate properly into the society, so they ran into a problem. Is it their fault?
No.
Right? Immigration Canada picked and chose. He was I think, engineer or something, if I remember correctly. So he at the time it used to be skilled worker at a different. You have to score certain points and then you come. So this is the cultural integration that I'm talking about. If you don't integrate properly, if you're not given time, it's not. Let me correct my statement. If you don't integrate properly, is wrong. If you're not given time to integrate, how does one give time to integrate?
Maybe giving some courses or
That is correct.
But do we have something like that?
I've
never heard of it.
I think there is. The Government of Canada provides learning centers for immigrants, but to my knowledge, it's not been utilized by the immigrants properly. So there has to be a channel that gives them guideline as they come and check on that guideline if they're following it. I think it's missing.
New business opportunity.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
For some entrepreneurs to start up a new immigrant
And
training for people.
And it's government funded, I think. It's already there, but it's not effective. That's
People not very well aware of something.
Yeah, they're not making use of it the way they should. And when they run into problem, they complain the system, discrimination, all kind of nonsense. I mean, it's our own fault.
Talking of the system, police, what we have seen and heard, actually not seen, that police does not have a lot of powers, or maybe they don't demonstrate because they're too nice to show that here in Canada. Because they don't, what people I've heard, a couple of people, that they don't arrive on time for small things, like if there is a theft of something under 5,000 or 10,000. We have seen a series of cars that were stolen over the years, past few years.
Yeah.
Nothing much was done. There was a huge buzz online about it.
Right.
What do you think about this? Because what people say that they are always available at construction sites and with the tow trucks, but they are never there when there is a problem, when there is something being stolen or there is theft. What is your opinion on that?
I think it's been misunderstood by people. The police will respond where there is an imminent threat. There is, for example, an act is happening, like a robbery. They're not going to say, okay, how much money is being stolen. The police will respond, and I think our system is one of the best systems I can say in the world. They will respond very quickly. You can check it anywhere.
So do you think
In few minutes you will see them at your doorstep.
do you think that people, new immigrants, they also tend to abuse the system, that they expect too much? Police and medical are the two things which are most talked about. Do you think they tend to abuse the system by going to the hospital because it's free too frequently, calling the police for such minor issues which are not even required? Do you think that could be there?
I think I'll be stepping my boundaries if I say they're abuse. But yes, by, for a reason which can be easily handled by your family doctor, you don't have to rush to hospital. If you are at hospital, you're really extending the queue. And extending the queue means more time for the person who genuinely needs that help.
Because they usually say that if you need to go to the hospital, you need to take a day off.
Correct. I mean, it's unfortunate, but that's how I've heard as well. Yeah.
Talking of the system, Do you think there is corruption in Canada as well, in the legal and the police system, like we see in the other parts of the world?
I'm going to be extremely honest in telling you, and I can only talk about my experience. Okay? My experience of last 30 years practicing in Canada, I have not seen discrimination with my own eyes to myself. If I'm not prepared for a matter that I'm representing a client, and if the judge is upset on me, that doesn't mean he's discriminating against our community or anything like that. That only means that I have to be better equipped next time, right? I'm representing a client, and if myself don't know the facts, don't know the law, and if the judge is expecting you to be completely, worsened and know all the facts and everything about your client, and you can't answer judge's question, then obviously judge will be upset.
So that was about racism. What about
Well,
corruption?
people just call it a racism. I don't think that is the case.
What about corruption? You think there is corruption in the system here?
Corruption in the system, I think it does exist, but exists. It's my assumption based on what I hear and what sometimes the outcomes are. Unpredictable outcomes, unpredictable enforcement of something, then you're compelled to think that something underneath is happening, and it's just an assumption. So I cannot say that corruption exists at the surface level. Corruption might exist or looks like or appears to be existing underneath the surface level.
So when it is said that a good lawyer knows the law, but a great lawyer knows the judge, that sounds true everywhere in the world, I believe, right?
I disagree with the statement.
You disagree.
Completely disagree with the statement. The lawyer who you categorize as a good lawyer knows the law is the great lawyer because that's what is expected of him.
So the
Knowledge of judge does not make you even anything, in my view. I mean, I know most of the judges. I've appeared before them. That doesn't make me friends with them. I can be still friends. I've been respected very highly when I conduct a judicial pretrial or something. That doesn't mean I'm expecting a favor from the judge. That doesn't mean that the judge will, if the merits are not in my favor, he's going to favor me. No, that's wrong to expect.
so it's all merit based.
I think it is merits based, and how persuasive you are in explaining to the judge your client's cause. That's what makes the difference.
So in your career, in your long career of 30 years, you have done so many cases.
Right.
Have you ever fought a case for somebody you know who was guilty already?
See, it's a very broad and general question. When somebody is charged, you have to look at the facts, and the facts are given to you by your client.
Correct.
Right? If the client says, for example, a simple assault, domestic assault at home, I was upset. My wife didn't listen to me. I came from work, and I'm being honest with you. I pushed her back and I said, "Get away from me and let me go to sleep." Pushing her is an assault
Everywhere or in Canada?
everywhere in the world.
Even in India?
Even in India, no matter how you define the assault, that'll fall in the category of assault. If you are encroaching into my personal space, then it could be different. Then you are allowed to create space for yourself even by pushing somebody back. But if you are pushing somebody, for example, your wife or one's wife, then that is an assault because you want her, you didn't warn her, caution her, but you pushed her. Right? So that constitutes as an assault. Now that individual comes and tells you, this is what has happened, this is first time, and I'm sorry, and I do realize I've done wrong, I could have handled the situation in a better way. So that right away in my mind, that's a very good client who acknowledges that he has done something wrong. Now I have to minimize the consequences for him. How do I minimize the consequences? So I was explaining to you, when there is a client who comes and says that he has, unintentionally assaulted his wife, the act is done, the assault is done, he's responsible. So this is a mitigating factor. He is acknowledging that he has done something wrong. If you ask him to take some counseling and some, maybe course relating to boundaries and anger management or something, and then once that is completed, you go back to the crown attorney and you explain the circumstances and first time occurrence, even if he has done it, you can get him the best possible result, right? So the person who makes an admission that he has done this wrong still requires representation. So that's where the legal help is needed.
So you also practice family law, right?
Yes.
So you witness a lot of divorces, which is growing rapidly everywhere in the world and in Canada.
Unfortunately, yes.
What is the biggest reason you see here? Is it money or infidelity or immigration? Because people get married to come here and then they get a divorce. What do you think is the biggest reason?
I think excessive freedom.
Excessive freedom
Yeah.
is the reason for divorce.
Is the reason for divorce, because and then resulting into infidelity, resulting, you lie to your spouse or spouse lies to you, or maybe
Excessive freedom in Canada?
Yes.
Like, can you throw some more light on it?
Okay, excessive freedom is, for example, you don't touch my phone.
Oh,
If you were in India, I mean, it's 5 family members will sit down and say, give your phone, you're doing something wrong, we need to check. You can't do that here because it's my privacy rights. I have maybe all of the evidence of my infidelity in the phone, but you can't compel. Right? So it is just my personal view. I mean, doesn't have to be, you know, applied with the same yardstick to everybody else. But I personally think that is one of the big contributing factors.
that
And excessive work. Excessive work is also a factor. I've seen in a lot of transportation industry, the poor husband will be working day and night, but the wife who is young doesn't have a husband, end up compromising with the circumstances and resulting into divorce. When he finds out, he feels betrayed.
Do you think that certain cultures don't empower women that much? But when they come to Canada and they get the taste of that independence, they suddenly, their personality changes. And that is not taken very well by the other partner.
Yeah.
That how can this person, they think the person has changed because they have tasted independence.
Yeah,
That contributes to
that contributes
divorces as well.
that contributes largely, and I think you said it very accurately. Empowerment, when you get too much power and freedom, and your husband can talk to you loudly, or he's causing stress to you by demanding that when he comes back to work, the food should be ready, or eat up my food, I'm tired.
Which will take us back to our first point of cultural thing,
Right.
where how they grew up looking at their cultures, their fancies, which we are not saying it's right or wrong.
Yeah.
It's different than what it is here. And when they come here, they get a new taste of culture, and when they use their powers and
Right.
exercise their rights, problems arise, and that leads to boom.
I think that is correct. That's one of the factors. But what I have seen is a lot of time it's ego driven. The issues are ego driven. For example, my mother, your mother, my father, my brother. I want to be respected in front of my father, mother, and brother. But she wants to be respected too.
Of course, when we say equals, it is equals in every aspect.
I'm just saying it becomes an issue.
Correct.
And when it becomes an issue, they just take it to their unfounded ego, and then results into all type of problem. And children suffer the most.
Yes, Apurva. And do you think that brings me, which was not a part of the discussion, but disturbed children?
Yes.
and availability of drugs in every plaza.
Yeah.
Do you think that leads them to abuse the drugs and behavioral changes and problems? And then, you know what I'm saying?
Uh, it's obviously something starts somewhere, and that somewhere is home. If you feel neglected, pressured, and parents are not giving you enough time, you go back to school. School has some sort of bulliness, and you feel that you're all alone in the world and nobody is with you. And you suddenly, these predators that you referred, that they're standing in the mall or somewhere, they
Now they're
somehow.
legal. They're selling, weed is legal now. Plus,
Well,
there are other
this is I think this is how they're introduced to it. That it'll calm you down. It'll do this and that and that. That's You can do yoga and be calmed down. You do breathing. I do. I mean, we live through the stress too. You and it can be medically checked. If you just simply implement certain exercises or habits in your life, you can handle the stress way more better.
Yeah, because then you see people, driving under influence, accidents, crying. Or
See, in my life, I've seen that if my goal is clear, if I'm not confused, then nothing will stop me. If my goal is not clear, then everything is an obstacle.
correct.
And I will be looking for excuses, and I will be just blaming others around me, my mother, my father, my brother, my wife, my children. Everybody is to be blamed because you're looking for an easy escape, basically. Right? But if your goal is, that's my goal is to take care of my children, how am I accomplishing that goal? By beating up my wife? By fighting with my wife? By making an argument at home every day with the wife? You can't accomplish that goal. Your goal is now your children. You want to give them better life. You want to give them education. You want to pay for their education. For paying, you have to work. To make them mentally strong, you have to give them a stable atmosphere. How do you accomplish all that? But if you're fragile, then you can't do all that. You can be just thinking and just assuming and dreaming of it, right?
Speaking of that, sir, I have seen in Canada.
Yeah.
Or any Western country, because I'm living here, I'm referring to Canada. The culture of joint families is not there. But for children, there is a huge difference in the behavior of children who grow up in a joint family and in a nuclear family. And I've seen it in Canada. I have many friends who live with their parents and grandparents, and their children grow up in an absolute different personality as compared to people whose parents are working at 12-hour shifts and they barely meet their children only, for dinner.
Yeah.
Even in small kids, there is a huge difference. What do you think about that?
I think the joint family, when we say, to me, what it means is any of the extended family member living with you. Could be the brother, could be the mother, could be the brother and his wife, grandparents. Now you have to give them their space. Don't let them interfere with your relation with your wife and your children. See, the relationship of a grandchild with the grandfather is that relationship, right? It has to be, time has to be given to it. So even if there is say for example, a separate setup close to the house and grandparents are there, that could be the part of the house. So you're giving them their space, which they also need
Of course.
to relax and talk
Feel
and
comfortable.
be themselves. Yeah. And it can benefit the grandchild and even your own, social and mental health.
Correct. One question which I have to ask you, the growing trend of prenup agreements, are they valid in Canada?
Oh, this is a proper legal document. Prenuptial agreement is very much valid.
So if before getting married, they lay out terms with the lawyer and
Yeah.
they, God forbid, go different ways,
Correct.
So they can protect their assets,
That is correct.
children, and whatever they want to beforehand. So
That-
there is
that-
no bad blood in the end.
Well, you cannot negotiate children in the prenuptial agreement. You cannot.
Only money.
You can protect your assets, the assets that you bring into the marriage. You can exclude them if the marriage breaks down and equalization has to be done. You can at that time use effectively prenuptial agreement, which will say you got into the relationship with a clear understanding that yours is yours and mine is mine.
It stands correct in report.
Oh yes,
Sensible.
100%, 100%.
In this growing era of internet and AI,
Yeah.
can I get sued for something I post on internet?
If you directly defame somebody, affect somebody, cause loss to somebody, your statement can be taken as a negligent or defamatory statement.
And if I send a text to somebody or a
Mhm.
WhatsApp message,
Mhm.
can that be used as a evidence in the court?
Well, we see it nowadays. It's a growing trend that emails, text messages, even postings on social media can be used in evidence against you.
It can be.
It can be, definitely. If you're infringing somebody else's right and causing them damage, they have a cause of action against you.
And during an interrogation,
Mhm.
my
Mhm.
apologies, can police lie?
Interrogation is really not the word in Canada. We call it investigative stage. Investigation
Okay.
is not interrogation. You're given your rights, right to counsel, right to be silent.
Can police lie in the court?
Uh, no, police should not lie in the court. Does
Should
it
not,
happen?
or they can.
Well, how can one control somebody's conscience? Yeah, yeah. So, rule of thumb: you expect a police officer to demonstrate honorable conduct, and if he takes stand and if he lies, obviously that's why you have a lawyer who will catch him in his lie. So a good effective lawyer will know how to fix that.
So, as we are towards the end of our show now, just two more questions for you.
Sure.
And this would be a little, a masala question for the viewers.
Sure.
If Salman Khan,
Uh-huh.
the famous Bollywood actor,
Correct.
he is famous for hunting down a deer in Rajasthan and he's in a lot of trouble
Right.
from the community.
Right.
But he is free and out
Uh-huh.
because the court
Mhm.
granted him that he has not done it.
I
That
thought
the deer was poisoned, something like that.
he was convicted, no?
No, he was not because he's free and out.
No, he's free and out after serving the sentence. Yeah, I may be wrong.
I don't think he served any sentence.
Okay.
Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think he served any
Okay.
sentence. He's still fighting two cases, deer and hit and run. That's what the media says. I don't know him personally, but that's what I know. But let's not go towards a hit and run. That's a different thing. But if he would have hunted a black deer in Caledon instead of Rajasthan in here, do you think he would face the same backlash in Canada?
I don't think you can say same backlash, but some backlash. Hunting is legal in Canada, and I'm sure it's legal in India if you follow the law. Okay, so hunting in Canada, it's legal. There is a certain time and a certain place. It's more so a place, crown land, designated for hunting, where it's safe. You cannot cause damage to other hunters and other residents living there. It's a secured atmosphere.
But I
And
think
you
he-
obtain a proper license, you have obtained a proper licensed gun, and then you go for hunting. Sure.
What I think is he hunted a deer which was worshipped by
That is
a
correct.
certain community
Yes, yes,
in
yes,
India,
yes.
and that hurt the sentiments very badly.
Yeah.
So, if the sentiment part
Mhm.
in Canadian law, according to the Canadian law,
Mhm.
if somebody hurts the sentiments in a similar way, can he go to court and get punished?
I think the question is kind of vague. The sentiments can be hurt many ways.
By killing an
And
animal.
by killing an animal. For example, Hindus worship cow. Cow is, you can go and eat everywhere. The beef you can eat in any typically all restaurants, right? So
That is
it hurts. It hurts my feelings. I'm a Hindu. I'm a practicing Hindu. I don't eat beef. Maybe somebody else does. So I have no right to question them or tell them that no, 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 you can't eat, and I'm not going to eat in this restaurant. That's my choice. I don't go to the restaurant. That's fine. I go somewhere else.
so
Right? But I have no right to condemn their food because that's their food. Just like that, they have no right to condemn my food intake.
Okay, and the last question.
Mm-hmm.
30 years practicing law, dealing with hundreds of clients. What is the most expensive legal mistake you have seen in your career?
See, sometimes
In terms
ignorance
of money.
in terms of money, ignorance can cause you, a lot of problems. And I will give you a good example, recent example. I had a case, criminal matter, where young students, I would say even 20 and 21 and even 19, one of them, they came to Canada. After coming to Canada, they found out that the air gun is legal. They went to Canadian Tire, they purchased $120 something air gun with the air gun's pellets. Now, air gun, if it's used to cause damage to somebody, is a weapon. But if it is used for the purpose that it's designed, then it's not a weapon, right? The young person who wanted to see New Year celebration at Nathan Phillips Square. They rented a car, or one of them owned it. They all three were in the car. The traffic was too much. They were barely moving. So he just came out of the car and he had the air gun on his lap. The air gun fall outside on the road. Now, for the general public, what's visible is a gun. And when he picked up with his right hand and he held the door, to the public, it appeared as if he's pointing the gun, because he has a gun and he's holding the door from the top and pulling it to close, not from the handle. So it's unintentional mistake, and that costed him a lot of hassle. I mean, a lot of money. That I pretty much, I can tell you for your podcast purposes, I did it on pro bono basis because this was a young child who has a turban, and I have a lot of respect and internal feelings for it. I can't let an innocent child who has not intentionally done anything, he doesn't have money to pay lawyers, I can't let him go to jail for 4 years, 3 years, 10 years. So I stood for him and I took it to trial, and he was acquitted the very first day, although the trial was scheduled for 5 days.
So he was set free.
He was set free. He was not guilty, and actually it was done on the day of the Gurpurab, just this December or something. So it was nice. It's a good satisfaction. I'm not trying to claim anything from it, but it just gave me a satisfaction that I practice law for.
No, thank you so much for sharing that. And thank you so much for coming.
You're very welcome. Thank
Your
you.
time is extremely valuable, and I hope from your experiences, people will learn and they will not do things which can get them in trouble.
I hope so too. I mean, the purpose of me talking about what I have lived through is just to benefit everybody. I'm not claiming any benefit from any of my statements. It's just simply giving back to the community what I have seen in my 30 years.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much.
And thank you for asking questions that meant a lot to my heart. Thank you. Thank you.